This is a very brief introduction to the life of Oscar Wilde, which you should use as a basis for your own research into the context of the importance of being earnest. Oscar Wilde was born in Dublin in 1854. His father, Sir William Wilde, was a distinguished surgeon, and his mother, Jane Wilde, wrote Irish nationalist poetry. Sir and Lady Wilde provided their children with a rich cultural background, reading them Irish poetry and folk tales, and holding regular soirees for writers and politicians. Wilde went to Trinity College, Dublin from 1871 to 1874 and gained a first-class degree in classics. He was then awarded a scholarship to Magdalen College, Oxford, to study Greek and Roman philosophy and literature. It was at Oxford that Wilde made his first sustained attempts at creative writing. In 1878, the year of his graduation, his poem Ravenna won the Newdigate Prize for the best English verse composition by an Oxford undergraduate. After graduating from Oxford, Wilde moved to London to live with his friend Frank Miles, a popular artist among London's high society. He continued to focus on writing poetry, publishing his first collection, Poems, in 1881. The book received only modest critical praise, but it nevertheless established Wilde as an up-and-coming writer and gained him an invitation to New York to embark on an American lecture tour in 1882. On his arrival in America, Wilde told the customs officers that he had nothing to declare but his genius. Upon the conclusion of his American tour, Wilde returned home and immediately commenced another lecture circuit of England and Ireland that lasted until the middle of 1884. Through his lectures, as well as his early poetry, Wilde established himself as an advocate of the aesthetic movement. The aesthetic movement was a theory of art and literature that emphasized the pursuit of beauty for its own sake, rather than to promote any political or social viewpoint. Advocates of the aesthetic movement believed that art was not meant to instruct, and should not concern itself with social, moral, or political guidance. This point of view contradicted Victorian convention, in which the arts were supposed to be spiritually uplifting and instructive. On the 29th of May 1884, Wilde married a wealthy Englishwoman named Constance Lloyd. They had two sons, Cyril, who was born in 1885, and Vivian, who was born in 1886. They seemed to be very happy for the first 2 years of their marriage, but from around 1886, it's apparent that Wilde began to lead a double life. Although on the surface he was a happily married man with a career in writing and journalism, Wilde also became involved in a number of illicit homosexual affairs. This was extremely dangerous at the time, as men who engaged in homosexual activity could face a sentence of 2 years in prison with hard labour. In 1895, while The Importance of Being Earnest was still on stage in London, he was charged with gross indecency with other men and sent to prison. On Wilde's release from prison, he left immediately for Paris, where he was to remain until his death in 1900. He died of cerebral meningitis at the age of 46. As you study The Importance of Being Earnest, you should consider the elements of Wilde's life that may have influenced his writing, such as his cultural background, his connections with high society, with the aesthetic movement, and his homosexuality. However, do remember that the play was written in 1894, before Wilde's imprisonment, so be careful not to overread the text in terms of Wilde's biographical details.